Hello friends, welcome to the series that is certified in the Risk and Information System Control, Domain 3, Part 1. Today we'll start with the response and reporting. Friends, basically before starting, just a short introduction that this domain is crucial for the professionals, right? In the field of information system and risk management. So in this domain, candidates can expect to demonstrate their understanding of various aspects related to the risk, reporting and the response strategies, right? Friends, this domain of the CRISC certification exam delve into the process and principle associated with the effectively reporting on the risk and formulating and response strategies within an organization information system, right? Friends, this domain will assess your ability to identify risk metrics and indicators, develop risk dashboard and reports, monitor and review risk responses, and many more. So, being at the first part, let's start with the that is part A, risk response. In the first part is the risk and control ownership. Friends, this whole domain is having have a weightage of around 32%, and we can expect 48 questions in this domain, right? So let's jump into the first topic, that is risk and control ownership. First will be the risk response. Friends, this risk response phase in the risk management is a critical stage, right? So the first point is focus on decision and made regarding the correct way to address the identified risk, right? So, friends, this phase is vital for effectively managing and mitigating the potential threat and uncertainties that could impact the achievement of business objectives, right? There are some points which have been highlighted, that is IT risk identification, IT risk assessment, risk response and mitigation, and at last risk and control monitoring and reporting. Friends, in identify risk, we can say that before developing the risk response, organization must first identify and assess the risk, right? This involves recognizing potential threat, vulnerabilities and opportunities that could affect the organization objective, right? Similarly, moving to the risk assessment, we can say that once risks are identified, they are typically assessed based on their likelihood and potential impact, right? So this assessment help to prioritize the risk and determine which one require immediate attention. Next, that is risk categories. We have risk option, risk response and risk option. In this risk option, we can say that organization have a several risk options when dealing with the risk, right? Like avoidance, mitigation, transfer, acceptance, right? Exploitation. And on the other hand, the next point, that is risk response, we can say that for each identified risk, the organization develop the risk response plan that outline the chosen risk response strategy or responsible parties, timelines and resource allocation. Friends, these plans provide a structured approach to addressing the risk, right? And at last, it comes a monitoring and review. Friends, the effectiveness of the risk response should be continuously monitored and reviewed, right? So, if a response strategy is not achieving the desired result, or if new risk emerges, adjustment may be necessary, right? Friends, in this we can say that the integration with the governance, right? That is, the risk response decision should align with the organization governance structure and strategic objectives, right? So integration ensures that the risk management is embedded, right, in the organization decision making process. So to summarize the first point, we can say that the risk response phase is about making informed decisions on how to deal with the identified risk. It involves the selecting appropriate strategies, implementing action plans, and continuously monitoring and adapting responses as needed to protect and enhance the organization interest. Right? So, friends, effective risk response is a key component of overall risk management and governance. Moving to the next point. Next point in the risk response is based on the information provided in the earlier steps of risk identification and risk assessment. Friends, risk response is built upon the information gathered during earlier stages of risk management, including risk identification and risk assessment. Let's see how they are interconnected. Coming to the first, that is risk identification. Friends, this is the initial step of the risk management process, right? So during this step, organization identify the potential risk by recognizing and documenting threats, vulnerabilities, and opportunities that could affect their objectives, right? It involves gathering information about the various aspects of organization it processes, project, and external factors that may pose the risk. Next is the risk assessment. Friends, once risks are identified, the next step is the risk assessment, right? So friends, in this phase, organization evaluate and analyze each identified risk to understand its characteristics, including its likelihood of occurrence and potential impact on the organization, right? So friends, risk assessment help to prioritize the risk, allowing the organization to focus on those with the greatest potential impact, right? So we can say that just risk with the risk response, with the insight gained from the risk identification assessment, organization proceed the risk response phase, right? So friends, here they develop a strategy and plan to gather to address identified risk effectively. The information gathered during the risk identification and assessment inform the selection of the most appropriate risk response strategies, right? Such as for high impact risk, for low impact risk, right? So for high impact risk that have significant potential impact on the organization may require the robust risk response strategies. So this could include the risk mitigation plan, avoidance strategies, or contingency plan. Similarly, for the low impact risk with the lower potential impact may be addressed through acceptance or monitoring without extensive mitigation effort, right? Moving next, that is in the risk response, reduced risk is balanced with the constraint placed on the enterprise, right? Next, management should be prepared to justify to stakeholders why its risk response decision reflect the best balance of competing factors. Friends, indeed the risk management within an enterprise is a delicate balance between the desire to reduce the risk and the various constraint consideration that influence the decision making, right? So the key factors that contribute to the balancing act, right? Such as budget constraint first, right? So we can say that every risk mitigation strategy has associated cost with it, right? Enterprise must allocate the budget resource effectively to address the most critical risks without staying within the budgetary constraint. Friends, balancing the risk reduction with available funds is a common challenge. Next, we are talking about the constraint, that is a time constraint, right? Friends, timeliness is a crucial in the risk management, right? Some risks require immediate attention and mitigation, while others can be addressed over a long time frame. So deciding when and how to allocate time resource is essential, right? Similarly, moving that is resource limitation. The availability of skilled personnel, technology, and other resources can impact an enterprise ability to implement the risk mitigation strategies, right? Decisions must consider resource availability and allocations, right? Similarly, moving that is strategic plan. Strategic plan, we can say that the risk management decision should align with the enterprise strategy goals and objectives. So balancing risk reduction with the pursuit of strategic initiative is essential for the long-term success, right? Friends, to strike the right balance between the risk reduction and constraint, enterprise often adopt a risk-based approach, right? So if they can identify, such as it involves first, that is identifying and prioritizing the risk based on their potential impact and likelihood, right? Next, it assessing the cost benefit ratio of different risk mitigation strategies. Third, allocating resource to address the most critical risk effectively, right? Ultimately, effective risk management require a holistic view that take into account the unique circumstances and objective of the enterprise, right? Friends, it is about making informed decision that align with the organization overall mission and goals while safeguarding against the potential threat and vulnerabilities. And at last, we can say that the management should be prepared to justify to stakeholders why its risk response decision reflect the best balance of these competing factor. Because friends, justifying the risk response decision to stakeholder is crucial in risk management and governance, right? Why it is important, how management can approach this? There are the few things, right? First, they can do it with transparency, right? In this, we can say that the justification of risk response decision ensure transparency, right? Stakeholders, including the shareholders, employees, customers, and regulatory bodies, want to understand how risks are being managed and mitigated. Next, we can do it by accountability, right? By providing the clear justification, management demonstrate accountability for its action, right? It shows that decisions are made on a thorough understanding of the risk and their potential impact on the organization, right? Next, it can do it by optimal resource allocation, right? Friends, risk response often involve allocating resources such as finances, personal, or technology to mitigate the risk. Stakeholders want to know that these resources are being used wisely and efficiently. Next, compliance. We can say that in many industries, there are legal and regulatory requirements related to the risk management. So, justifying the risk response decision help to ensure compliance with these obligations. Next, with the reputation management. Friends, an organization risk management practices can significantly impact its reputation. So, explaining the risk response decision can help to maintain or enhance the organization reputation for responsible governance, right? Next, by continuous monitoring, we can also say that the risk response decision should not be static, right? So, management should explain how these decisions will be continuously monitored and adjusted as circumstances changes. To summarize, we can say that justifying the risk response decision is essential for building trust, right? Demonstrating accountability, right? And ensuring that resources are allocated wisely, right? It also helps to under organization to comply with the legal and regulatory requirement and maintain a positive reputation among the stakeholders. So friends, effective communication and ongoing monitoring of the risk responses are key component of this process. So we can say that at last the risk response should be undertaken in a way that protect the current operations to the greatest extent possible. In some cases, response activity may cause disruption. However, the goal should be to respond to the risk without unduly impairing operations, and this expectation make the careful selection of the actions and control to address risk an important part of the process, right? So to summarize, we can say that the goal of the risk response is not to avoid all disruption but to manage them in a way that safeguard the organization core operation while effectively mitigating the risk, right? So friends, careful planning, scenario analysis and open communications are essential to achieving this balance. Moving next, let's discuss about the risk and control ownership. In risk and control ownership, the first point states that every risk identified in the risk register should have a specific owner at a management level, empowered to make decision on behalf of the enterprise. Friends, assigning ownership, right, at the identified risk is a fundamental aspect of effective risk management, right? We'll discuss about the why every risk in the risk register should have a specified owner at the management level. Because the first point we can say that it is because due to accountability, right? Whenever a risk has a designated owner, there is a clear and accountable individual or team responsible for managing and mitigating that risk. This ensures that someone is answerable for the risk outcome, right? Next, we should have a specified owner due to decision making, right? Because friends, the risk owner should have the authority to make decisions related to the risk. This include decision on the risk mitigation strategies, resource allocation, and risk acceptance. Friends, having an empowered owner streamlines the decision making process. Next, we should have because of the risk response. Friends, owner is responsible for developing and implementing the risk response plan. They can assess the potential impact of the risk, identify appropriate control or actions, and oversee their execution. Next, resource allocation. Friends, owner can allocate necessary resources, including budget, personnel, and technology, to address the risk effectively. This ensures that the risk management efforts are adequately supported. Right? Friends, overall, assigning the risk ownership at a management level enhances the organization ability to proactively identify, assess, and manages the risk. It ensures that the risks are not overlooked and that there is a structured approach to addressing them in alignment with organization goal and the risk tolerance. Moving next, risk practitioner should communicate with the risk owner to ensure awareness of the risk response already implemented and responses that are pending implementation. Friends, assigning a senior executive or manager as the risk owner is a prudent approach in the risk management. There are reasons why the risk owner should typically be a senior executive or the manager because of because of accountability, decision making authority, resource allocation, strategic alignment, communication, because of timely response and escalation, right? Escalation, right? Like if the risk escalate or impact changes significantly, senior executive can initiate the appropriate escalation to higher level of management, right? So friends, while it is common for the senior executive or managers to serve as a risk owner, it is also important for them to collaborate closely with the risk practitioner or subject matter expert and relevant team to gather insight and expertise for effective risk management. This collaborative approach ensures that the risks are managed comprehensively and in alignment with the organization objectives. Next, it clearly conveys the current and anticipated level of the risk to provide insight into the aggregated risk facing the enterprise. Friends, effectively conveying the current and anticipated level of the risk to the key stakeholders is crucial for informed decision making and risk management within an organization. The key consideration for conveying the risk level, we can say that it is clear reporting, right? Because the clear and concise reporting format to communicate the risk communication, right? We should avoid jargons and technical language that may not be easily understood by all the stakeholders, right? We can also consider the risk assessment. right? Similarly, risk register, risk categories, impact analysis. Okay friends, why, how impact analysis? Because providing an analysis to the potential impact of each risk on the organization objective, operations and financial performance. So use scenario to illustrate how risk could manifest. Same way, like the other thing which may affect, like risk heat map or trend analysis, right? So, friends, conveying the risk level effectively is essential for building trust, facilitating risk decision making, and ensuring that the organization can respond promptly to emerging threat and opportunities. Right? It also helps to align the risk management effort with the organization strategic goal and objectives. Moving next, that is aggregate risk is evaluated against the strategic risk appetite and deal with the organization wide impact. Friends, evaluating the aggregated risk against the strategic risk appetite is a critical aspect of the risk management within an organization. Right? In which it says that aggregated risk, what is aggregated risk, right? The first word what we encounter. Friends, aggregated risk refer to the cumulative or total level of the risk that an organization faces across its operation, function, project and activities. Friends, it take into account the combined impact of multiple risks including strategic, operational, financial, compliance and other type of the risk. Similarly, the next word, that is strategic risk appetite. Friends, we all know about the risk appetite, but the word strategic risk appetite, the strategic word is attached as a prefix because the strategic risk appetite is the predefined level of the risk that an organization is willing to accept or tolerate to achieve its strategic objectives. Right? It is a fundamental component of organization risk management framework and governance. Friends, the strategic risk appetite is typically set by the senior management and the board of directors. Right? Similarly, moving next. So, friends, in this we go ahead with the integration with strategic planning, right? So, by addressing and aligning the aggregate risk with the strategic risk appetite, organization can make informed decisions about and pursuing opportunities, managing threat, and achieving their strategic goals while maintaining a risk profile that is consistent with their risk tolerance and overall strategic directions. Next, where aggregation is incomplete or ineffective, senior executives may lack the information they need to make good business decisions to manage challenging circumstances. Friends, incomplete or ineffective aggregation of the risk information can indeed pose the significant challenges to the senior executives in making informed business decision, right? Why this can be problematic and how it can impact decision making? Let's take an example. Examples such as limited visibility, right? Friends, incomplete aggregation of the risk data means they are not relevant risks are captured and addressed. This limited visibility can lead to the blind spots where certain risks go unnoticed, making it difficult for the senior executive to grasp the full risk landscape. Right? Similarly, it can affect the risk misalignment. Friends, ineffective aggregation may result in the risk being assessed in isolation rather than in the context of their potential impact on the organization's strategic objectives. This can lead to the misalignment between the risk management effort and the business goal. Right? It also affects in the difficulty in the prioritization. Without a comprehensive view of all the risks, it becomes difficult to prioritize them based on the significance of the organization. Similarly, senior executive may struggle to determine which risk poses the greatest threat or opportunities. Friends, by addressing these issues and improving the aggregation of the risk information, senior executives can make more informed decisions or enhance the organization's ability to navigate challenging circumstances and align the risk management effort with strategic goal effectively. Right? Next, at its worst, the implication of poor aggregation can reach the level where organization continue existence may be in jeopardy. Friends, the implication of the poor risk aggregation can be severe and may indeed threaten an organization continued existence. There are also few examples in which the inadequate risk aggregation can lead to such dire consequences. First is the crisis management. Friends, when risks are not effectively aggregated and assessed, the organization may lack the early warning sign necessary to respond to emerging threats. This can result in the crisis that catch the organization off guard and require significant resources to manage. Right? Next, it can also impact the next consequences can be a financial impact. Friends, poor risk aggregation can lead to financial losses that, if substantial, may impair an organization's ability to operate. Right? For example, a failure to properly assess and aggregate the financial risk, such as making fluctuations or credit defaults, can result in the severe financial consequences. Right? So, friends, to mitigate this risk associated with the poor risk aggregation, organization must prioritize the robust risk management practices. Right? Include, we have already discussed. To include, we can say that the integrated risk management system, conducting a regular risk assessment by fostering a risk aware culture and ensuring that the risk aggregation align with the strategic objectives. Friends, additionally, an organization should regularly review and update their risk management strategies to adapt to the changing risk landscape and emerging threat. Right? Moving next, let's discuss about the risk ownership and accountability. Friends, in this risk ownership and accountability, the first point is the purpose of determining risk ownership is to ensure accountability in its place. Friends, this line states that determining the risk ownership is a critical step in the risk management process. So, to ensure accountability within an organization, we can say that there are key reasons why establishing the risk ownership is important. Because to establish the clear accountability. Friends, designating a specific individual or a team as a owner of a particular risk ensures that someone is responsible for monitoring, assessing, and managing that risk. This clarity of ownership helps to avoid situations where risks are overlooked or assumed to be someone else's responsibility. Next point we can say for effective the risk management. Friends, when a risk owner is accountable for a particular risk, they are more likely to proactively take actions to mitigate, transfer, or accept the risk as appropriate. This ensures that risks are actively managed and the organization is better prepared to respond when a risk materializes. Friends, we can say that determining the risk ownership is a fundamental component of a robust risk management framework. It enhances an organization's ability to identify, assess, mitigate, and respond to the risk in a systematic and accountable manner. So, friends, by assigning ownership to the risk, organization can better protect their interest, reputation, and long-term viability. Next, risk owner must be someone with the ability to select an appropriate risk response with budget, authority, and mandate to select the risk response. Friends, a risk owner should have the budget, authority, and mandate to make decision regarding the risk response strategies. Why budget? Because friends, risk response strategies often require financial resources. The risk owner should have the control over the budget that can be allocated to implement risk mitigation measures or other response action. And without the necessary budget authority, it may be challenging to execute the risk response plan effectively. Second, with the authority, we can say that the risk owner needs the authority to make decisions and take actions related to the risk management. So friends, this authority may include the ability to allocate resources, changes processes, set policies, and make strategic decisions that impact the organization risk posture. Friends, an empowered risk owner can drive the necessary changes to mitigate the manages the risk. Similarly, the third word which is important in this point is mandate. Friends, the risk owner should have a clear mandate or responsibility for the specific risk they oversee. This mandate ensures that the risk owner is accountable for the risk management and that they have the necessary organization support to implement the risk response measure. Additionally, it is essential that the risk owner has the knowledge, expertise, and access to relevant information to make informed decisions about the risk response. Effective communication and collaboration with other stakeholders, including the risk management professionals, senior management, and relevant team, are also critical for successful risk management. So, in a nutshell, we can say that the risk owner with the budgetary control, authority, and a clear mandate is better positioned to drive the risk response effort and make decisions that align the organization, risk management objectives, and overall strategies. Next, that every risk should have a single risk owner seek consensus if multiple areas are impacted. Friends, appointing a risk owner without the necessary attributes like budgetary control, authority, and a clear mandate can lead to ineffective risk management. But in such cases, the risk owner may be limited in their ability to implement and oversee the risk response action, which can compromise the organization's ability to address and mitigate the risk effectively. It is also important to emphasize that assigning a single risk owner for each risk is essential for accountability. So, having multiple owners for a single risk can result in confusion, lack of coordination, and diffusion of responsibility, making it challenging to take decisive action to address the risk. In situation where a risk impact multiple senior leaders or department, seeking consensus among those affected is prudent approach. So this collaborative decision making process can help to identify the individual best suited to take ownership based on their expertise, available resources, and ability to focus on addressing the risk. Friends, ultimately clarity in the risk ownership along with the attribute are accountable that we have highlighted is a fundamental to effective risk management and ensuring that the risks are absolutely addressed within the organization. Next, control should be owned by the owner of the risk that mitigate but may be owned by someone else. Friends, in this, the ownership alignment, ideally a control should be owned by the same individual or team responsible for the risk it mitigates. This ensures clear accountability for both the risk and associated control measures. Right? In case where the control has an impact on multiple risks across the organization, it may have a separate owner. This is a practical approach to ensure the effective control implementation. Similarly, to maintain the transparency and accountability, it is essential to document and record both risk owner and control owner in the risk register. This creates a clear reference point for understanding who is responsible for managing a specific risk and control. Friends, effective risk management requires a coordinated effort among the various stakeholders, including risk owner, control owner, and risk practitioner. It's through this collaboration that organization can identify, assess, mitigate, and monitor the risk effectively to achieve their strategic goals while maintaining accountability and transparency. Similarly, accountability extends beyond the basic risk response decision to approving specific control when mitigating is the response. Friends, it all encompasses approving and overseeing the specific control measures when mitigation is the chosen risk response. Friends, when an organization identifies the risk and decide that the mitigation is the appropriate response, this typically involves implementing specific control measures. So these control measures could include policies, procedures, technical safeguards, or other actions designed to reduce the likelihood or impact of the risk. Friends, just as each risk should have a designated risk owner, each control measure should also have an owner, right? So the control owner is responsible for overseeing the implementation, monitoring, and effectiveness of the control. So this owner ensures that the control align with the organization risk mitigation strategies. Right? Similarly, accountability extends to the process of the approving these control measures. So the individual or the team responsible for approving the control should ensure that they are well designed, effective, and aligned with the risk mitigation strategies. Right? So by ensuring accountability at every stage of the risk management, from the risk identification to control approval and ongoing oversight, organization can enhance their ability to manage risk effectively and protect their interest while maintaining a clear and transparent process. Let's discuss about the risk owners. Friends, risk owners, they actively drive risk management activity performed to ensure understanding of the desired outcomes. Friends, indeed a risk owner play a critical role in the risk management process. So by actively driving activities and ensuring that desired outcomes are understood and achieved, there are some risk owners that can proactively contribute to the risk management process, right? Such as they can go ahead with the risk identification. Friends, somehow the risk owner should collaborate with the risk practitioner to identify and assess the risk associated with their area of responsibility. So they possess valuable insight into the specific risk that may impact their process, project, or department. Similarly, risk owner should work closely with the risk practitioner to evaluate the potential impact and likelihood of the risk. They provide context and expertise to help to determine the significance of each risk. Friends, risk owners are actively involved in selecting the most appropriate risk response strategies. They consider factors such as organization risk appetite, available resources, and strategic goal to make the informed decision. Right? Friends, by actively engaging with the risk management activities, risk owners contribute to a culture of the risk awareness and accountability within the organization. So this collaborative approach ensures that the risks are addressed proactively and the organization can achieve its objectives while managing the potential threat effectively. Next, risk owner do not require detailed knowledge of control or significant technical expertise. Friends, risk owner don't necessarily need to possess the detailed technical knowledge of specific control, nor do they need to expert in the intricacies of the risk management. Instead, they should have a good understanding of the broader context of the risk and control within the area of responsibility, right? We can say that the risk owner should have a strong grasp of their business processes, objectives and associated risk. This include recognizing the critical assets, stakeholders and the potential impact of the risk on these elements. While not required to be a technical expert, risk owners should be able to identify and describe the risk in their own terms. They should understand the concept of risk likelihood, impact, and organization risk tolerance or appetite. Right? Friends, risk owners should have a basic understanding of the control framework within the organization. This includes the recognizing and purpose of control, how they operate, and their role in mitigating the risk. Right? Risk owner need to be aware of their roles and responsibility within the risk management process. They should know how to engage the risk practitioner, senior management, and other stakeholders. In summary, we can say that the risk owner do not need to be a technical expert. They should possess a business oriented understanding of the risk and control. Right? Their primary role is to provide context, make informed decisions, and facilitate the effective management of the risk within their areas of responsibility. Friends, collaboration with the risk practitioner and other subject matter expert is essential for translating the risk awareness into practical risk management strategies. Next, risk owner may own control and are accountable for ensuring that the risk control effectiveness is monitored. Friends, the risk owner typically assume the responsibility not only for identifying and assessing risk but also for implementing and monitoring the control associated with those risks. Right? Friends, the risk owner with their risk practitioner and other relevant stakeholders to identify and assess the potential control that can mitigate the identified risk. This involves evaluating the suitability, feasibility, and effectiveness of the various control options. Based on the assessment, the risk owner make informed decisions about which control to implement. So this decision align with the chosen risk response strategy, which may include accepting, mitigating, and transferring or avoiding the risk. So friends, risk owner has a holistic role in managing the risk and control within their area of responsibility. Right? They are accountable for entire life cycle of the control from selection and implementation to ongoing monitoring and improvement. Right? So effective communication, collaboration and proactive approach to risk and control management are essential traits for a successful risk owner. Next, it may be required to prepare reports about the risk due to laws or regulation. Friends, indeed, in a certain industry or the region with a specific regulatory requirement, a risk owner may have additional responsibilities. Risk owner may stay informed about the relevant laws, regulations, and industry standard that pertain to the specific risk within their area and responsibility. They should ensure that the risk management practice align with these requirements. Right? Friends, some regulation mandate the reporting of certain risk and incidents. Right? So risk owner may need to prepare or oversee the preparation of or report that detail the status of the risk, any incident that have occurred and the current risk exposure within their functional area. Right? So friends, risk owner in a regulated environment play a critical role in ensuring that the respective area of the business adhere to all the specific laws and regulations. They serve as the first line of defense in managing the risk and compliance obligation, and they should proactively address the compliance related issues to prevent regulatory violations and associated consequences. Right? Next, we can say that the risk in relation to the control. Friends, the concept of creating a direct link between risk and control is a fundamental, right, to effective risk management. So this relationship ensures that the risks are addressed through appropriate control and that all controls are justified by the risk they are meant to mitigate, right? In this, we can say that the risk management process begins with the identification of the potential risk that an organization may face. So these risks can span various areas such as operational, financial, strategic, compliance, and reputational risk. Friends, when risks are identified, they are assessed to determine their potential impact and likelihood of occurrence. So this assessment help in prioritizing the risk based on their significance to the organization. Right? Friends, by establishing a direct link, right, between the risk and the control, organization can systematically manage and mitigate the risk while optimizing the allocation of resources. So this approach ensures that the controls are not implemented arbitrarily but tailored to address specific risk, ultimately enhancing the organization's ability to navigate certainty and achieve its objective. Right? Friends, here we come to the end of part 1 domain 3 presented by Let's Learn series. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more updates. Thank you.